So welcome to my vineyard ramble on Thursday morning, and a little bit different this morning because I'm actually on a rambling path. So I'm actually on the footpath. You can just pick it out. If you just look down here, you can just pick out the little footpath, and then I'll show you where it comes from down. There we go. So I was just thinking, I'm doing these virtual rambles, but wouldn't it be lovely if you could actually join me next year and we could actually ramble together through this wonderful countryside. So I'm just showing you, there's hundreds of little tiny paths around here. This is actually the sentier Cathar. So this is the Cathar Castle path. Has anybody walked the Cathar path? It's 250 kilometres. It starts down over those mountains in the seaside town of Port-la-Nouvelle. Not the most attractive place, but it's on the Mediterranean, Port-la-Nouvelle. And it comes up here 250 kilometres, and you take in all of the Cathar Castles on the way. Anybody up for that? I'd love to do it. So behind that you can see the village of Tuchan, and very low cloud today. So again, lovely sort of mysterious morning, misty, mysterious morning. No sun, unfortunately. And it's very muggy. It's 16 degrees. I saw Jane saying it was very muggy in Winchester. 16 degrees here in Tuchan already. But let's get rambling. So just take you up the little ramble path. And this is through the Garrigue countryside. Garrigue is just what grows naturally here. So it's Mediterranean scrubland, but it's absolutely beautiful. There's such a range of plants. It's very low lying plants though because of the wind. So here we've got some oak, and we may see some acorns, and that's what the wild boar. It's been a really good year for acorns, and the greedy wild boar are feeding off them. The hunters shot 2 wild boar yesterday. One was 95 kilos, 95 kilos pour un sanglier. They were so pleased with that. So 2 less wild boar around our vineyards. And this is lovely. You can see it's a really stony little path. We just come up here, and this stony little path, you can actually walk on this from my Jean-Marc vineyard that we were in yesterday to the Caune vineyard. So those of you who've got your tea towels, let's just take a look. Oh, take a look at that. But look, talking of acorns. So here are the acorns. So this is what the wild boar, and I think one's been nuzzling around in there. Ooh. This is what they're after, and it's been a brilliant year for acorns. So we're going to get some really fat wild boar. Oh, there's more over here, look. And here, not quite sure what this is. Anybody knows what that is? And let's have a look, get our bearings on the tea towel. So quick stop here just to look at that view. Wow. Man, I mean, 9 degrees where you are. I wish we could have some cold weather. It's far too warm. We need some really cold frost to kill off all the bugs. So here we are. We're just looking over the Caune vineyard. So over there is the Roussillon. So you get some lovely wispy clouds on that ridge of mountains. Behind that, in front of that is Paziol, which you can't actually see in the mist. Just perhaps pick it out. Behind that, Perpignan, Collioure, Banyuls, the Tower of Tauch. If we pan round, you can see the Rocher de Vangros, so Vangros, and behind that you've got the Mediterranean. So the wonderful Mediterranean Sea behind those rocks there. And now we're coming into the Languedoc. So we've got the village of Tuchan. So a little tip on how to say it for when you come and join me on my rambles. Just ask for Tuchan. So number 2, and then Chon, like the sun. Tuchan. 800 people. Oh no, Jean-Marc always corrects me. It's 900 people. 900 people in this little tiny village here, all based around farming vineyards. Nothing much else in Tuchan. And then pan round, this will be Carcassonne direction. And here I'm actually sort of 300 metres up the Tauch mountain. If you look on your tea towels, you'll see I'm on a line with Jean-Marc, so perhaps just a little bit lower, but around the base of the Tauch mountain, the lovely limestone massif here that rises above the village. And for those of you who've got your tea towels out, if you haven't got your tea towel and you're thinking, oh, you can actually still get them on the website if you want to follow my rambles on the map. So San Roque, that's where we were yesterday. And then here we're down to La Caune. So above Tuchan, La Caune vineyard here. So let's carry on along the path. Take my tea towel. Because I just wanted to show you what we're up to in the vineyards at the moment. It's quite a quiet time, if there is a quiet time, because we finished picking. The wines are fermenting or coming to the end of fermentation in the Lagar winery. We're just waiting for the malolactic ferment to happen. And it's a time where all the growers sort of get out and do bits and pieces in the vineyard, sort of tidy up, a bit like a spring clean, an autumn clean. And obviously Jean-Marc has been out on his digger. So I just wanted to show you. He said, oh, I just need to go and put a fence up around this La Caune vineyard. This La Caune, because we're sort of in the middle of the garrigue, it is very susceptible to wild boar. So lots of wild boar coming in to eat those, but also to nibble on the grapes. So he started the fence last year, got halfway round, and is finishing it off this year. But as I was saying, I'm on the Sentier Cathar. This is a lovely footpath that goes between the Cathar Castles. And here we go. And this is what Jean-Marc's been doing. So the footpath just comes to a bit of an abrupt end. And then Jean-Marc has been out on his digger and he's actually flattening an area so that he wants to get a permanent fence on the side here, going along the left-hand side, and then enough room for the tractor on the right-hand side so that he can come and cut the grass easily, because otherwise the garrigue will again come into the fence and then he'll have to do it with the strimmer. So the idea is he's carved out a little road here and he's going to put in the permanent fence on the left-hand side, and then he's going to be able to get the tractor down on the path on the other side. So he's actually made that little footpath a little bit wider. But then you've got things like this. I mean, it's not easy terrain to be working. Even putting a fence in, it's major work. You can see here just a pile of stones in the way. So he's going to have to move that pile of stones here. But these stones, so good for the vines, really good for drainage in the vineyards. If anybody's got any questions, don't forget to pop them in the little box at the bottom, or just comments, because I may miss them as they come up on the screen. But from this view, so we're looking down on the La Caune vineyard, and if you can see that terrace in the centre of the screen on the other side, you can quite clearly see how some of it is darker green and some of it's lighter, paler yellow. So where it's darker green, that's basically where there's more water, it's a bit more fertile. And where it's already turning yellow, it's a bit less fertile. So Jean-Marc's next job is going to be putting organic fertiliser on, and he's actually going to control the dose of organic fertiliser and put more where it's needed. So he needs to count 7 poles in and then go really slow on the tractor so that he gets more organic fertiliser in those places where he actually needs it. But it's quite clear, you can see the places where it's needed. On that top one near the pickup, just below the pickup, you see it's yellow at the top, so we need a bit more fertiliser up there. And as you come down, it gets darker, so a bit more fertile, still lovely green. So Jean-Marc will be out with his fertiliser. Mum and Dad, if you're there in Ashby de la Zouche, do you remember when we did the fertilising in Maury, in our vineyard, when we just bought it? We did it all by hand. So we basically 2.5 hectares. We put on about a tonne per hectare, and we did it all by hand, and it absolutely stank. It's just disgusting. But so Mum and Dad, a little memory there. And look, you can just see over this direction the low cloud. It's a shame the sun's not out this morning. But let's go down. So down into the vineyard. So Jean-Marc's got to clear all of this too, to be able to get the fence up. As I said, he started it last year, so he's just joining the end, making it a full circle round this quite big vineyard here. I wondered what these were. Apparently that's the hunters who have marked this out. but it's not hunting day today. Otherwise, I may have this wrong, I think it's a yellow stripe for the sentier Cathar. Here we go, another one. So, and then we come to the end of Jean-Marc's vineyard, and I just wanted to show you the work he's been doing just to tidy up the vineyard and to make it a safer place for him to be on his tractor. So here you can see the lovely soil that he's been, again, clearing this away so that he can get the fence up on the right hand side. And then if we actually come down and go into the vineyard, so all of these stones that are piled up here would have come out of the vineyard. So they would have cleared, when they planted this about 35 years ago, they would have cleared the stones out onto the side. And here, let's show you this from the other side, coming into the Caune vineyard, so 100% Syrah. 100% Syrah here, so it's trellised. All of our Syrah is trellised, otherwise it's a sprawling grape, so it actually sprawl on the floor rather than the Carignan, the Grenache that grow upright. So always on wires. And then, so this is a hole here. So Jean-Marc's made this hole with his digger, and that's to allow him to actually be able to turn better with the tractor. So when he's coming down these rows, it's got 4 rows on this top terrace. So when he's coming down here on the tractor, it means that now he's actually got a bit more space to point the nose of the tractor into this hole here so that he can turn better. He said up until then it's been really difficult to actually turn the tractor around. So Jean-Marc's actually gone off to Limoux this morning. But he will be joining us next week. So, and then if we look down here, a bit more work, you can see where he's scuffed away the ground, and that's to enable him to turn much more easily with the tractor. And when he's got a machine on the back of it, it actually gives him the space to be able to do that. But it's pretty major landscaping up here. And obviously he loves it with his digger. So I haven't seen much of him recently because he's been up here with his little digger. Right, let's have a look at your questions. And again, any more comments? It is. Oh, you're the insomniac in Massachusetts. Becky, great to see you. I'm sorry that you're not sleeping. I'm going to take my headphones off, just so you might be able to hear the birds if I just shut up for a while. So that was, you can actually hopefully hear the birds singing. It is so tranquil, it's so calm, and that sort of layer of cloud over the valley just brings down the sounds are really, really dumbed down. But it's just absolutely beautiful. Oh, you can hear them, Adam. Brilliant. Yeah, they're really chirping away. I did my bird identifier a bit earlier on, and I got a sparrow and a starling. So that's all I ever seem to get with my bird identifier. But if anybody can pick out anything else, that would be great to hear. If you're just joining us, good to see you, Wine Time Sussex. So I'm just out in my Syrah vineyard up here above the village of Tuchan. You can catch up on IGTV, and they do go onto YouTube as well. So if you've just joined us, we're coming towards the end of it. We're just going to look at questions, but you can catch up on IGTV. And these Syrah grapes, so we picked these about 5 weeks ago. Everything picked by hand, and these will go into my Vieux Cepage Syrah and also Lagar Syrah. So if any of you have tried my 100% Syrah wines, they will come from this vineyard here. Let's take a little quick peek at your questions. So Nick would like to know more on the malolactic fermentation. So malolactic fermentation is a very small ferment that takes place after the alcoholic fermentation. So the big ferment, when it gets really bubbly, is when the sugar converts into alcohol. That's the alcoholic fermentation. And the malolactic is when the malic acid turns into lactic acid. So malo into lactic, and it makes the wines a little bit less acidic. So that happens naturally. sometimes it takes a little bit of encouragement, but it has to happen before you can start blending or really tasting the wines, because it will soften the acids in the wine. And sometimes it happens straight away, sometimes it takes a little bit longer. If you do it and you bottle, if it hasn't done and you bottle, it can then take place in bottle, which leads to a slightly sparkling style of wine, which is not what we're after. So it has to be done now. So we're waiting. You have to keep the wines quite warm. So we keep them at about 20 degrees to encourage this malolactic ferment. But it's very difficult to spot. You can really tell by analysis is the best way to know if it's been done. Oh, Vicky, yeah. Can all those stones be used for anything? Well, funny you say that. Yesterday, I was just saying to Jean-Marc, oh, wouldn't it be lovely if we had a bench here? Perhaps we could make a bench out of stones. It'd be lovely. He just laughed and was like, But why? It'd be so lovely to have a little bench here so that we can sit in this vineyard and just look at the view, listen to the birds, look at the vines growing, and just look at that view over the valley of Tuchan and Pesky. I don't know, anybody got any ideas what we could do with all these stones? I mean, one of the problems is actually moving them, because Jean-Marc's got another little pile here that he needs to move. It's only a tiny pile, but it's going to take ages. He'll do it with a digger, but I don't know. Any ideas? What can we do with the stones? We can make little huts. I know in other areas they actually make little stone huts. Probably build an apartment block with all the stones we've got here, but little stone huts. I can't remember the name of them. If Nessa's still there, she knows the name of them. And hi Andrew, good to see you. Hi Brad. And they used to use those stones and the little huts for sheltering. So I think the hunters would hunt from there, and also when they're working the vineyards, you get these little round stone huts that farmers would shelter in from the wind. We don't have them really around here, but we could start a trend. So Becky, thanks for this question. Can you irrigate? The answer is we could. We are allowed to. The problem is there isn't any water. So it would be really difficult to start irrigating. If we do start irrigating, we would have to do a borehole into the Tauch mountain, which does have underground water reserves because it's limestone, but we'd have to do a borehole for each vineyard. And as we've got about 20 vineyards altogether with mine and my husband's, that would mean a lot of investment into actually setting up and finding water for each vineyard. If we did that, it would be good. We'd be able to control the yield a bit more. We wouldn't want to increase yield too much. We'd just like to keep it steady. But no, everything is 100% dry farmed. So it's dry farmed, no irrigation whatsoever. And just coming back to the question about the malolactic as well, I think next week perhaps we could pop into the winery and just have a look at the tanks. It's quite weird now that each vineyard, so like this vineyard La Caune is now in its little tiny vat, so we could just do a little quick tour of the winery just to show you each of the little tiny vats in there. It is fantastic, Brad, thanks for that. It is gorgeous. And just a final question from Melal Port. What fertiliser do you use? Well, I know what it smells like. It is organic fertiliser because we're 100% organic, and it comes in like little pellets. It's called Auger 3. And I really can't imagine, well, I can imagine what is in there, but I'll double check with Jean-Marc. He knows exactly what's in there. Look at the clouds. The clouds are just rolling down this valley. For those of you who know, this is the Padern Valley in the background. The clouds just coming in there, but so peaceful, so lovely. So thanks very much for joining me today. It's been great to see you. Hi, John Wood. For those of you who are just joining, we're just coming to the end. We were in my Syrah vineyard, and just looking over the vines here reminds me of a question from yesterday somebody sent in, and that is, why are some of the vines red? You see, like the one on the end there, it's just a bright red colour. I walk down here, there's some more down here, and that's because it's still Syrah. It's the same grape variety. I wasn't too sure about it when we were in La Roque, Sam Roque vineyard the other day. It's still Syrah. It's just It's a bit of bad circulation, so the sap isn't moving round the vine as it should do. It's a bit like, you know, when you have poor circulation ourselves, you go a bit red. Well, these vineyards have gone just that little bit red because of the poor circulation, so it's not a great sign. Although it's very beautiful at this time of year, it's not a great sign. So that was the reply on those. So I think I'm going to leave you here from my lovely Syrah vineyard. So enjoy your day, and I will see you next Tuesday. So see you on Tuesday, same time, but a different vine.